Morning, guys. It's Sunday, August 19th, 2018. And last night I went to bed at 2 a.m. I have not done that in a very long time. And it wasn't because I couldn't sleep, it was because, well, I didn't want to sleep. So, let's just say, I've made a few purchases. And I've made it on the account of it doesn't cost too much, and stuff like that. I figured, okay, this was kind of crazy. The crazy part about it, though, is, as I said before, I wanted these things to inspire me, and they have. They actually have. But in the meantime, they are entertaining the hell out of me, my son. It is just crazy. This game was very highly positively praised, and I heard about it for years. Well, not for years. Well, yeah, I guess I had. Even back when they were Farm Simulator 15, they were pretty good. Now, I'll tell you where the connection is with this. And again, my son's not with me today because of his sleep issues. With I got him off. I dropped him home at midnight as planned. Tonight I'm dropping home at 11. We went rafting. It was awesome. It was so nice to just get out in nature. And I told him, I says, no matter what the heck's going on with this thing today, you and we're going for a walk. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have to just get away from the computer because it's still summer and the weather's been nice this weekend, so as far as I know it's supposed to be nice today. So the post is on my forum, and just without reading everything, I'm just just reading everything quickly. This was on sale. I picked up 2 copies. Ski got back to me, which was great. We hadn't talked for a while, and of course, when you don't have things in common, like Ski and I right now, he's on the Southwest server, he's working, he's busy. I'm not. For personal, not personal as in personal against anybody reasons, it's just personal taste, I guess you would say, or what I'm looking for as a client. I've already gotten into all the Run 8 discussions. I'm tired of talking about Run 8 at this point. I'm not done with Run 8. Run 8, it remains to be seen what they can do. I'm not worried about Run 8. Let's just say I'm going to do what I'm going to do if Run 8 improves down the road, maybe in a new version, whatever. But until that time, I'm not worried about what Run 8 does. It's run its course. For now. That doesn't mean, my rail driver's right here, my steering wheel is still here. All of these tools are still here. The steering wheel, I don't think I can get even for this thing to work, so I may be... that might have been one of the worst trades I made for that PlayStation 4 for the wheel, but mind you, I wasn't using the PlayStation 4 anyways, but I could probably sell that wheel. Pretty used, I would imagine. I might do it. We'll see. I still have the box. It's still sitting down on the floor here over across the room. Okay. The reason why there's a rudimentary train system, now that's not what got us to purchase it. It wasn't because because it had it, it kind of led me immediately to ideas. And I thought it was kind of cool. And it's like a toy train, it really is. But what it does with the farms and the city system in very small scale kind of reminded me of what trains attempted to do. And does a pretty good job at, except everything is toyish with trains, to me, at least. That's my opinion. There's really no micromanaging. Yeah, you can hire people and all that stuff. I haven't really gotten too heavy into it. Right now, just my son and I are working 3 fields. We haven't bought any new fields. It's not really a quote-unquote farm simulator real time. In other words, there's really, unless you get into the mods, there's really no seasons. I think your crops grow in five actual real or real, or not real days, or whatever you want to call it. You can speed up time. The host can speed up time. That's another idea that got me thinking more about these things. So, like I said in that second paragraph, I don't like the micromanaging. The zombie survival game, that's fine and all. It's real. We'll have fun with that once in a while. I think that if we want to get our survival fix, we'll go back to that game, because there's still a lot to do in that one. And when I say waiting and seeing what the future of Run 8 holds, actually, I'm not waiting and seeing what the future of Run 8 holds. I'm waiting basically for my son and I to get down to it. And my son's, and talking to my son after this post yesterday in the car, he says, "Dad, I've been trying to get you to program with me for a while, but anytime anytime he suggests it, I'm not into it." And I says, "Well," I says, you're gonna have to push me further on that. I says, "If you want to do it, you got to push me further." I says, "What do you want to program?" Well, he was talking about my simulator of Niagara, where it involves ships and locks and the Welland Canal system, and in the connection to trains, which really doesn't really happen until you get into Hamilton. Yeah, there's some grain silos in Port Colborne, but there's really not too much of a connection between the canal and the railway like it used to be. That was a little bit more back in the time. And I told him, I says, and he says, "Well, what we program?" And he says, "Unreal 4." And I says, "You know how hard that be?" And he says, "Yeah, I know." So he knows that would be very daunting. I says, "Well, I could go Unity, might do something else, but we'll see." I said, honestly, I told him a 2D version of what I originally planned on doing would be better. He's not as excited about that. So our ideas of what we really want to do is a little bit different. But the fact that he likes that idea kind of opens me to the possibility that, yeah, maybe that will work. But I told them, I says, well, maybe we can just get the concepts done in a 2D program, and then we can focus on the 3D, and then by then we'll wait and see what Run 8 does. And he still has no interest in Run 8, so I don't know if that will ever, get to a point where he'll get into that. Maybe Run 8 will get better graphically. That might get him interested, but for him, he doesn't see the purpose. He doesn't see car forwarding in itself as a purpose. He actually sees the monetary aspects and the making of money and all that other stuff. I might challenge him on that, because the farming idea, he's really into that. But yet, what's the purpose? Yeah, I guess there's money involved, so maybe that's what he's thinking. But yeah, I'll have to consider all those things into my ideas coming forward. So it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to talk too much about this. I was going to do these on live streams. No, I mean, last night we got silly at one time while our crops were growing, and he was running on a train, and I had the truck, and we were chasing each other, smashing into each other. And he says, that's a game we can do once in a while. I says, no, it's not. I says, I was just doing it to see what the hell it would do. I says, I am not chasing you around in a truck. These trains run around in like a model railroad circle. And the way I'm describing it, it sounds really toyish, and the train is. But it's what the train's purpose does that makes it actually have a purpose. It actually feeds a couple of the suppliers, so you can load, and then you can transfer train. You can't switch trains, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. But it's got a lot of potential. And yeah, what ends up happening is you grow your crop in 5 days. I think we're on day 2, and I finally figured out how to figure out what it is you need to do. And there's so much more into the game that we haven't even got into. He wants to get into the forestry aspect. And I'm going to have to tell him, because what happened was I got home last night, I did a little bit more research in the game and checked out the help menus a little bit more, and you know, I was up till 2 o'clock this morning, just getting into this. The reason why I say Farm Simulator right now is what I found. What I'm looking for is because that is exactly the kind of real world process that I want to have in a transportation system. That's exactly what I want. I want to have those same processes with the shipping industry. I want to have those same processes with intermodal freight. In fact, my vision is not only to have ships and, you know, there's transport fever, okay? Now, transport fever is cool and all that, but it's more of a tycoon type thing. I'm not interested in the tycoon thing. I'm interested in, here's the world, this is what we've got, now do what you like. In other words, you can be a truck simulator. It's not really a truck simulator, or it's not really a truck simulator. It's not supposed to be a genetic, it's not going to be a genuine ship simulator. It's not going to be a genuine train simulator, and it's not going to be a genuine truck simulator. But guess what? All three of those things are going to come into play, because they all intertwine into a transportation system. RTS may not be railroad transportation simulator very soon. I'll have to figure out a new letter for, or I might change it altogether. But that's one of the visions I have, is thinking about this whole transportation simulator. Maybe I can go that road instead. When it's getting into 3D, that scares the hell out of me. But I'm willing to at least try it, because there's so many aspects. I actually like Euro Truck, but alone, it's okay. You're driving on the highway and you're doing the same job, and you know, I want to get it so that, number one, these trucks can do it AI, because I mean, yeah, the only reason why there's not they talk about AI truck drivers, by the way. But when you get into the short hauls and stuff like that, the only reason why AI doesn't work is because there's too many variables that take place in real world that AI could become dangerous. Well, we don't have to worry about dangerous in this, because everything's under it's in a controlled environment. So if I know all the variables, including all the goofy people that walk across the street, or the way certain streets are designed, and all this other stuff, I can still program that AI. I can also program the AI of how ships move. I can program the AI of dispatching. I can program the AI of a lot of things, including the trains. And the trains in Niagara are not a huge network by any means, but they have an aspect to it. If I can get this as a genuine simulator of transportation, suddenly, you know, and maybe the farms, maybe I do that as well, although there's not really too much farming with the rail. I can't even think of, well, there's grain cars coming in, but I may not have the farm simulation aspects to it. But I don't want to be just cookie cuttered right into train simulation necessarily. Let the people who know how to do train simulators do train simulators. I want to have this more of an inspiration to say, okay, I like how this aspect works. I like how the farms work. I like how trucks work. I even like how Barents Sea was working. On its own, though, it got really, you know, and that was more fishing anyways, but then no, there's so many different things, and I see it in the forums all the time about the various things. And you know, I can get a phone call any time, by the way, but I want to keep this quick. I see it in the forum of train sim forums, believe it or not, and they're talking about locks. And somebody had a thing about showing you know, a little goofy boat going through the British style locks. Well, the British style locks are cool, but the Welland Ship Canal and the St. Lawrence Seaway is really, really cool. If you guys haven't seen that, guess what? I'm from that area. I've seen it all my life. I've kind of got to the point where I kind of take it for granted and ignore it now. but I've always been inspired by it. I just never really did anything with it until maybe now. Because there was when the Ship Simulator came out, the Microsoft, I think, Ship Simulator or whatever, one of the first things that inspired me about that is, does it do locks? And of course the answer to that was no, it doesn't. It does ship simulating. You can have, you can have the cargo ships, you can have the container ships, but it didn't have, that aspect to it. There's a lot of aspects to shipping that I may not get 100% accurate, and I can improve once I get proper criticism, constructive criticism on how certain things work. But I've seen enough of different processes to realize, hey, even if the physics are not perfect, and that includes the train simulator, my physics will not be as good as Run 8's. I know it, but I know enough about it that I can at least try my best to get it to work. But the whole idea is not to necessarily be a train simulator, or I want to get a lot of people possibly together. But mainly my goal, first of all, is to forget about the people getting together thing. This forum is proof that I can't get people together. I've tried. I mean, we can't get into discussions. We can't get into anything to get together. I mean, just to talk to people and try to get people together to arrange a time or place or whatever. And hell, I had a 24/7 server for 2 weeks of one route. And yeah, there was some new people that were talking about getting the route just because of that, or it seemed like they were thinking about getting it just for that. I said, don't get it because of me, get it because you like it, first and foremost. I don't regret the purchases I made. I don't consider it a waste. But honestly, the Northeast was probably the one area that I used the least amount, only because I can never get people around. But I don't consider it a waste. I got it because I liked it. I enjoyed it. If I want to do it, I do it. So it's not a matter of waiting for what Run 8's doing. It's about me doing what I want to do right now and then deciding where I want to take things. There's a lot of things that may be going on with my finances in the next 6 months. Some of it may or may not have to do with the recent passing of my ex-mother-in-law, believe it or not. I'm not going to get into those details. All I'm saying is that there is a potential to possibly be part of that, and we'll see. For now, I'm just kind of basically not worried about it. I'm not in control of it, but it could lend it to a possible opportunity that might ease my income worries. But I still want that pressure. I still want that pressure to know that I really want that second income. And that might get me to stop worrying about games so much and get me more on doing things. So I'm hoping I burn out a tiny bit eventually on Farm Simulator. But that's going to take a while. I already told my son, I said, I'm going to be playing this by myself. I'm going to be doing some of these things by myself. And he says, yeah, I know. I says, okay. I said, you got no problem with that, right? I says, it'll just be a different crop, and we might manage a few other fields and stuff like that, but I'll run it in real time more, because once him and I start playing, we'll end up speeding up time, because we've done everything, as long as he's actually getting the job done. But we'll see. I can see him getting tired of this game. I see him getting tired of this game more than I do. And eventually we get tired of it. It's still worth it. So I'll take, like I say in that second last paragraph, I'll take the steps, whatever it takes. He's determined to inspire me and get started again on developing a game. Where we agree, we don't agree. Could start as early this weekend. No, I'm not starting any development this weekend. Yeah, and I even said that. I was absolutely right on that, because I'm smiling on this because I want him to get his ass ready, so that we can go out and have a walk and have a talk and get our exercise in, and then get back to doing this for tonight, because you know the day started now. So yeah, the rafting was awesome. Like I said, I love the rafting. I love the, you know, there's a lot about Niagara that I am sick of. I'm sick of the population growth in here. You know, we're becoming like the mini Toronto these days, and all the Torontonians are coming down here. It's just like, oh my God, traffic is becoming a nuts. But that's not why I want to do these things. I'm not doing it to simulate all the stuff that bothers me. I'm doing it to simulate all the stuff I love about Niagara. So yeah, the other thing too is, if you have this and you're serious and you seriously do like it, I'll be running this quite a bit. I already put the invitation out there to both Ski and Scott. Those are two people that I would run with, but I'm willing to, you know, at least, I mean, I don't know how it works with multiplayer, especially with people who already have money in the game, if they can somehow bring that in, or I don't know how that works. Actually, there's different save slots, so I might be able to experiment with different save slots. There's 3 save slots, so I might play different games with other people instead of, and I'll keep the one for my son and I, or just me, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I might even do a solo one. I might even go into the career side and see what that's like by myself. I haven't considered that one yet, but maybe I will. But there's a lot of saves that will, you know, that way we have our genuine world, him and I, and then I can, you know, I can do other worlds as well. So it seems to have a lot of potential. And then there's all kinds of mods and crap. I was looking through that last night before I was like, oh my God. I know there's a trains mod out there, but that don't mean nothing. They still don't switch. There's one where I saw that does a snow plowing train. And watching these trains, they go up over. So in one of the routes, they go up over one of the bridges, and it's like, oh my God, it looks worse than a model railroad. But it's not supposed to be a train simulator. It's kind of like the cars that are in Run 8. It's not supposed to be a car simulator. They do crazy crap, but the concept is there. Just the idea of them being there is something. So no, I'm not doing this to be my fix for a train simulator. I don't treat this as a train simulator. I treat the concepts of the loading, and I haven't even touched these trains yet. My son did. Actually, my son used the train first before I did. He started loading some of our stuff that was in the silos and dropped it off somewhere apparently. And yeah, so this seems like a real fun thing for my son and I to get us through the times when we're not on the water or not out in a boat, because I don't want to spend every minute outside despite the nice weather. It'll be winter soon enough, and you know, hopefully this keeps them going. We don't have to we haven't been doing a lot of day trips lately, which that's saving on the car, but still, I mean, I do like to take advantage of the outdoors. Anyways, that's it, guys. That's all I got. I don't want to get into any more. Oh yeah, one other thing before I end this is about the live streaming. I'm not live streaming this game. I'm not live streaming anything else at this point. My YouTube channel, I honestly don't know what to make of it right now. I want to keep it RTS, or at least development wise, something that I can show off as a tool to get people interested. This kind of thing, you know, it takes, when I stream these, and my son loves streaming stuff, and I say to him, yeah, but look at the graphic degrade. Look at how the frame rates start dropping when we do it. I'm tired of doing it. It takes away from it, and it's really not what people are interested in. I know you guys aren't into Farm Simulator, okay? That's not the point of this video. I'm not trying to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing Farm Simulator now and I'm not interested in trains. Well, that's temporary. RTS is still at my heart, and the concepts and genuinely wanting to get something going with the transportation system is very important to me. It to me is, yeah, I could do a survival game too, and we've thought about that because yeah, there's some things of it, but there's already some pretty good survival games. I would love like a real world type game where you know you look at randomly generated scenery, for example. I have to look into those concepts, and maybe I'll find something that's more appealing that way. And if it is, well, yeah, then that'll get away from the train side of things. If and when Run 8 decides to get better, and to me it has to get better. It just because it's the best out there doesn't mean it's, you know, and I know I'm going on to Run 8 again here. Just because it's the best doesn't mean it's the best for me. It's reached a certain level, and it seems to have peaked. And I don't know how it's going to get better. The only way it's going to get better is smaller regions or more AI. Once that happens, I will get back into it. I mentioned that in the email to Scott this morning. I says once those things get in there, it will get better. Which also leads me to why I'm divided between doing an RTS2 style program as opposed to a transportation system. I think a transportation system is a bit of a big stretch, whereas a 2D RTS simulator is probably much more feasible for me to get into, and hopefully my son's inspired enough by it. And I'm gonna have to tell him, look, you know, we got to get something done, and this is the way I want to go about doing it. So I have to sell him on it. Believe it or not, I'm finicky when it comes to food. He's even finickier. Well, I'm stubborn when it comes to certain things. I think he's even more stubborn. But in the end, we seem to find what we both like, and we both like this right now, so that's good. The other things, well, maybe a little bit. I think he's interested in developing games or just the concept of it. So we'll see. But in the end, it may just be him getting me inspired and wanting to do things, or just wanting to learn that might help me get into it. But I still think the 2D concept and getting I can make a better dispatcher. I can still make a good AI system. I'm almost certain of it. And if I can do those concepts, then Run 8 should be able to figure it out. Even if I do those concepts on my own in 2D, they should then there's no excuses. Then people will say, well, look what RTS does. And unfortunately, I never upgraded RTS 2 for Run 8 2, but I really didn't see the point of doing it because it wasn't going to make Run 8 any better. And Run 8's great. It's great at what it does, but like I said before, multiplayer, if it's about running big worlds and 90% of the people just want to run choo-choo from A to B, guess what? That's not what I want to do. I don't want to run from point A to B. Yeah, it's great to do it once in a while and have other crews and realistic dispatching. That's awesome. But I also like to get into the switching. I like to get into the operation. I like to see the progression. If you want to get me into different switching jobs, I want to know that things have progressed and there's various jobs available in such a big route. If not, let's stick with the small stuff and then get used to some of the small things and get enough people in there to run the railroad as if it's a live entity, even a small one. But yeah, enough of my Run 8 rant. I'm not going to go on about that anymore. That's how I feel about it. That's what Run 8 has to do in version 3 for me. Otherwise, like I said, they got to sell me, and I'm little fish. I'm nothing. And so is anybody who follows me and believes in the same concepts as me. We're small fish. We're not going to make tons of money for them. But I think it has the most potential to bring people in, personally. But that's just me, or at least new people. The only other way that'll bring more people in is more eye candy and editors. That's the only other thing that could really bring in a lot more people. Otherwise, you're going to get the same amount of people who purchase everything for version 2 and version 1. They're just going to keep purchasing the same stuff, and you're not going to expand your base. I mean, yeah, I see new people all the time, but Do you know how many people are leaving Run 8? I see it. So, anyways, breaking news. I gotta get this off there. Another earthquake. Wow. Yeah, a lot of solar activity to the last 24, 48 hours. Okay, that's it. I gotta get those things off of there. They're a pain. Stupid things. But anyways, have a good one, guys, and we will talk to you later. Take care.